So, The Boy and the Heron is the latest, and some would say the last film from Hayao Miyazaki, the legendary animator, writer, director, creator of many, many legendary animated films. And in this case, this was highly anticipated because obviously he has a lot of fans. Studio Ghibli films are pretty much almost always going to be near the top. And it was released in Japan in July of 2023, but now it is available in limited release here in the United States. So I was lucky enough to actually have this available in my theater. And so, what is this movie about? Well, it's about this kid named Machito, and he actually had a horrible loss in the war where his mom, he lost his mom during the war, and now he's having to adjust to this with a new mother, a new family, a new setting, and of course, there's going to be a lot of fantastical adventures awaiting him with this heron who finds him somehow and then brings him into this world. And that's kind of like the overall general story. And this is something that I think for anybody who has been a fan of Miyazaki's work, they're very familiar with. So there's a lot of similar themes that are related to other movies that you've probably seen before from Studio Ghibli. And so that is like the general story of it. Now, let's go ahead and get into the thing that, well, I absolutely love about this film, and that is, of course, the animation. Wow, even at 82 years old, Hayao Miyazaki and his team, to me, just produce the most beautiful animation out there. It's like living watercolor. And the thing is, it's his work, Studio Ghibli's work. They have a look, and they have a look that to me is still so unique. It's beautiful, even in this age of modern technologies. There's just a really beautiful hand-drawn, delicate feature. It is really, really detailed. And then, as usual, when it gets to the fantasy elements, it is just a sight to behold. Okay, so if you can't watch it in a theater, that would be the best way, and obviously in the best screen possible. And of course, the music, the sound design is second to none. Really great pieces out there. And even when there's silence and stuff, just the sound design is just really, really awesome. And so the technical merits, as with most Hayao Miyazaki Studio Ghibli movies, it's almost always going to be a work of art with every single piece of work that they do. And then the second thing is the story itself. Now, if you have seen his other movies, then it's very similar. So this is in war-torn Japan, so after World War II. And in this case, they go out to the countryside to kind of start a new life. And Mato, he's having to deal with a lot of things, with the loss of his mother, some issues that he has in school, I would say, some conflict with his father, and also the hard part of having to accept his new family, his new mother, and other people around. And then speaking of other people, there's a lot of different people and characters as usual in his type of movies. So we have the heron, which is going to be like the center point of the relationship, but there's also other characters like the grannies, fish, these weird bubbly creatures, and deadly parakeets. Yeah, it's absolutely crazy, but it's not something uncommon. So as you're going throughout this story, of course, with his type of films, you get the reality setting. But once you get to the whole adventure, fantastical stuff, really gets crazy. And that's where Miyazaki, he's known for this stuff. His brilliance, his imagination. It just takes you to a place that is just absolutely wild and insane. And you really see that in the story as you're going through. And those are like my favorite parts of it, whenever it gets to those fantasy elements, because I feel like that's where Miyazaki is really able to tell his story, able to bring you in and just take you to a different world. So similar to other movies by Miyazaki and Studio Ghibli, it's about this entire journey into this story, this fantastical world. And in this case, it does that as well. And then the other thing that I did enjoy about this film, as with most of Miyazaki's film, are the various themes and things that they touch on. Things such as life and death, things such as rebirth, legacy, family bonds, forgiving people. There's a lot of stuff. And with most of his films, he doesn't like explain things to you exactly. Okay, there's a lot of things that is subject to interpretation, but if you've watched a lot of his film, they follow very, very similar themes. And so in this case, that movie touches on that as well. Now, as much as I enjoyed this movie, I will say Hayao Miyazaki, Studio Ghibli films, they do take a certain type of person to actually enjoy his films because his films aren't something that's really a structured narrative. There's just a lot of things in his films that you kind of don't have an answer to. Okay, so if you are expecting a structured narrative that has, stuff that you could follow, stuff that you can understand, you're not going to get this in this movie. And at the same time, I think for some people who aren't used to his movie, they could actually be bored. I'm not gonna lie. And in this case, with this movie, as with most of his movies, most of the times I'm thinking to myself, what's going on? But at the same time, like, yeah, I'm all for it, because that's the type of movies that he brings. And so in this case, if you are someone who has not seen his movies or from Studio Ghibli, and you're not used to this type of storytelling, then you might not like this movie. I'll just be honest with you. But if you are patient, you kind of like let things happen and enjoy this adventure, then I think you'll get more out of it. And so those are like my thoughts on The Boy and the Heron. I think it is a really, really good film. However, I wouldn't say it has the same emotional impact as things like Spirited Away or My Neighbor Totoro and many of his other films. I kind of felt a stronger connection to the characters and story with those movies that I did here. But nevertheless, this is really another great film from Hayao Miyazaki, and I'm pretty sure he's probably got a few more films left in him, and hopefully we'll be able to see that here in the United States as well. So, if you had any thoughts on this or any other Hayao Miyazaki or Studio Ghibli films that you've enjoyed, be sure to leave in the comments area below. And if you did want to see more of my anime, film, and show reviews, I do have an entire playlist. I'll leave in the description area below. Hey geeks, if you are a brand new creator and you simply want something easy to get you started, well, I got something for you with my Creator Starter Kit. This is a super simple step-by-step guide that's going to take you from having no channel to developing your very first YouTube channel, along with ideas, thumbnail designs, and other creator tips, including marketing. And the best part is, all of this is free. Simply head over to the link below, check out my page, and get started creating.